Hello, welcome back. This is a Hunt Texas Hogs review of the new Bering Optics Yoter-C 640 resolution clip-on sight with the name Yoter, short or synonymous with coyote, yote, so you get the point there. But it's going to be a new line of equipment that they'll be debuting soon. They just listed it on their Facebook. So today I'm going to run you through what you get with the kit from your dealer or from Bering directly. We will attempt to relate to you how the clip-on device is working with the rifle system and day optic so that you can make an educated consumer decision on your end. So for those of you who are new to the channel, this is an independent review channel. I'm not affiliated with any dealers. Bering does not pay me to do these reviews. They did provide the unit because we've worked together on some of their Hogster scopes in terms of doing some testing and evaluation for them. So thank you, Bering, for the providing the optic for this review. All right, so I'm going to reposition the camera so that you can better see what is in the Yoter-C. The C indicates clip-on unit, and I'll run you through the kit. All right, so this was the prototype unit that I picked up from Bering Optics about 3 weeks ago. There could be some slight changes between this prototype and what the retail version is, but as I go through the pieces of equipment that come with the kit, I'll roll in some information and specifications that Bering recently put out on their Facebook post. So it comes in a nice soft case, plenty of room and compartments. That case could differ a little bit, but it should be pretty close to what you get. Here's the actual clip-on unit itself. Right now it does not have any bottom rail affixed. 3 buttons on the top here, and then we have focus. It has a lens cap cover. That's a 50mm germanium lens. And right now I have the monocular eyepiece that comes with the kit that you buy, and it's able to screw onto the back of the body. So in there is going to be the screen, the near eye display, and then this is a magnified eyepiece, and you can use it as a monocular or thermal scanner. Runs on 2 CR123A batteries. And it has a USB-C connection here on the side, which is going to allow you to connect external power or to do video out to a digital video recorder. So, that being said, this does not have video recording capabilities. And so I'll get into a little bit of the details later in terms of how I'm bringing the video to you for this review today. Part of the kit that you would use to affix your clip-on attachments, right? So at the moment I have a optional light suppressor. I say optional because you'll have to ask your dealer if it's included with the kit you're buying or if you have to pay an accessory charge for it. There you go. But this is the item that I'm talking about that allows you the capability to go from monocular hand scanning mode, replace the back eyepiece section completely, and then this interfaces, there's a magnet inset, and it only goes in one way to the back of the Yoter, and that magnet then activates the clip-on mode in the software so that the clip-on is ready to use on a rifle. Okay? So we have coarse threads up front where it connects to the body of the scope. We have fine threads back here for either the adapter that you adapt to your bell housing of your scope or for a light suppressor. Be very careful handling all this lens equipment when it's separated from the scope. You don't want to get smudges, fingerprints, oils, or cause any damage to this equipment. Okay, depending on which kit you order from your dealer and what your application is going to be. It's going to be key and crucial that you either choose the telescopic scope adapter that is configured correctly for the front size of your day optic. So this one right here is configured for a 30 millimeter front objective size on a day scope, and then it has those fine threads right on the wider side of this particular adapter to connect the clip-on to your day scope. Okay, so these two parts would go together. This is more of a traditional style and setup. It works real well for those of you who are hunting bolt action rifles or don't have a handguard that has a continuous rail in front of your upper receiver. So if you don't have any way to adapt a clip-on to a Picatinny rail, then this is going to be the kit you want to choose. All right. Today I'm going to review the kit option that uses this rail. And again, I'll get you some close-ups here of all these parts. So it comes with an Allen wrench, a couple pan head screws, and then the mount. And this mount will go on the bottom of the clip-on, and then I'll affix it onto a rail that sits in front of my day optic. Again, talk to your dealer about what you're getting in your kit. This is something Bering provided for me to try out. It's a 2x magnifier, and I'll get a video of using and affixing that put into this review. But you're basically able to take the clip-on device off the gun, and rather than change a heavy part, you simply get that light suppressor off, or if you're not using a light suppressor, then you just screw the magnifier right onto the back of the parts that are equipped for the clip-on mode. So it makes it easier to get to a magnified view as opposed to that I have on the back of the scope here. All right, so that's the kit in general. Let me give you some close-ups and then we'll get to the rifle. Alright, so we've talked about what comes in the kit for the clip-on. Now we need to talk about the next level in order to make the clip-on effective for you in a shooting aspect, right? So you're going to need a rifle, obviously, and you're going to need a day optic of some sort that gives you a crosshair reticle to be able to aim with. The clip-on, if you'll think of it just as a clean thermal visual of the scene that you're looking at, it has no aiming point and is not designed to be a thermal weapon sight, a dedicated thermal weapon sight. So you're going to have to couple it with a day optic. There's a few options in terms of what you're trying to accomplish and what I may be trying to accomplish. So whatever I say from this point on, don't take it as the right way to do things. What I'm showing you is what I've gone through for some particular applications that I want to try the clip-on with. So I started with a low power variable optic. This is a 1:6 by 30. It has a QD mount on it, so I'm able to take it across various guns, and obviously it has mechanic turrets here that I can do windage and elevation with, and then the clip-on would go in front of the day optic here, and so this is one particular style. The thing that I like about the low power variable optics using with the 640 Yoter-C is the fact that at 1 to 2 times I get 1 to 2 times magnification on the low power variable optic, I get a full view of the Yoter-C's screen. So it's going to provide me with the widest field of view possible, and I don't have the calculations for what that field of view is. It's going to depend on your daytime optic of choice. But it gives you the widest field of view in terms of the other scopes that I'm going to show you here. And with the 6 times as the ceiling for the magnification, I find that it does work for me quite well out to 150 yards, maybe even 200 yards on a shot. So that's one optic option. I also tried it with the one and only large objective scope that I have currently in my arsenal. This is a loopholed 8.5 by 25 scope. It's got a 50 millimeter front objective. These scopes, these styles, long-range scopes, are generally much longer. You can see there that I've got probably 6 to 8 inches of additional length to consider and factor into my rifle application. So when I put this on my rifle, I had very little real estate up front to apply the clip-on. So I had to actually take the sunshade off. I had a sunshade that actually came out to about this far, and the clip-on would not affix to the handguard for the particular rifle I was using that day. So the sunshade came off, and I was literally on the last available Picatinny rail slot of the handguard in front of a long-range scope. Some considerations if you do use a high magnification, base magnification optic, is that you're going to be starting already zoomed in pretty good to the Yoter-C display. So Bering's currently working on getting the icons within the Yoter to sit in the center of the screen so that you can access the zeroing and all of the many features that you're going to need on the Yoter-C and be able to see them through a scope. But Bering is working on it, and Bering says that their Yoter-C can handle anywhere from 2 to 20 base native magnification optics. When I did have this behind the Yoter-C, I could get up to about 15, 18 times before the pixelation and the artifacting began that started to degrade the image. So I did look and view scenes 15 to 18 times using this loophole through the Yoter-C. It can be done, it's just not really an application aspect that I use in hog hunting. I'm not trying to put long-range optics behind a thermal clip-on and make shots well beyond 250 yards. It isn't something I do. So also bringing you video through these day optics with the Yoter-C attached in front has been a challenge. I do have one video on my channel. You can look in my videos and you'll see that I did some through the day scope recording. I was seated in a blind. I had a camcorder basically zip tied to the stock of the rifle for stability, and only because I was in a blind static hunting situation was I able to capture any video. A couple weeks ago, I got the bright idea. You know, I have a digital optic sitting at the house, and the digital optic, much like thermal technology, you can't see through these devices. The image is rendered onto a screen. Okay, so when I put the clip on in front of the digital optic, you're actually looking at one screen in the digital optic that is looking to another screen that's on the back of the clip-on. So while not optimal, it doesn't give you the very most rich and detailed view that's possible. What I was able to do was perform the recording function on the digital scope of what it's seeing on the back of the clip-on and bring you the videos. And then when we put the clip-on in front of this digital scope, I'll be able to record, and you'll be able to see exactly what settings are changed within the clip-on, and I'll be able to better illustrate to you performance, function, and capabilities of the equipment. It just so happens that this particular digital optic made by Sightmark doesn't have a thermal scope in their lineup, and it just so happens that Bering does not have a digital scope in their lineup. So the combination of these two, again, was happenstance. There's many digital scopes out there from different manufacturers. It'd be nice if Bering would consider doing a digital scope to do this type of adaptation, being that there's no record capability in that thermal. So I'm just sort of doing a wag here, guys, and bringing it to you as I get it. So let's go ahead and get the clip-on ready for putting on front of the day scope on this continuous rail handguard that I have on this particular AR-15. In order to do that, I'm going to use the rail mount. So there's some brass insert screws on the bottom of the clip-on. The way that this mount goes on is the Bering Optics logo goes towards the front, and it is not keyed, so to speak, so it just fits flat. It's a flush mount application of that rail mount, and I've got a couple pan head screws here, so I'll drop one in from the bottom using an Allen head wrench. I'll go ahead and get that started. Drop the other one in, get it started, and then I'm more or less to get a little bit of play here, a little bit of wiggle. So I'm just going to more or less try to have it centered as I tighten these down. Now, notice I did not use any Loctite. Bering says do not use Loctite in this situation. It doesn't assist the system in any way to do Loctite. Also, in terms of force on these bolts, very little. Right there I'm hand tight, and I'm just going to go a scooch more. Hand tight, scooch more, and that's about it, folks. You don't want to get too aggressive. The rail mount is now affixed to the clip-on, and I'm going to need some way to magnify or to provide a better coupling. You just can't go without any back eyepiece, is my point. So it's got coarse threads. I'm going to use the lens adapter that has the magnet inset. That magnet goes top dead center. So you sort of push it on there, and then you start counterclockwise and then clockwise. And you want to go all the way until it sets flush. Okay? Again, no Loctite here. No tools. You don't have to force it, but it is flush, and it's hand tight. I have a set of double locking rings here. All right? Now, I'm going to fix a light suppressor. Again, this might be an option. It might be included. Talk to your dealer. This has fine threads, and it goes on the back of this lens adapter that we put on the back of the Yoter-C. The light suppressor is going to prevent light spillage from that display going onto your face or your equipment, so it's going to give you the best of stealth capability at night. And then also, if your scope fits into the interior of the light suppressor, or if this eyepiece actually fits over the full front of your day scope's front objective, it's going to prevent light from ambient light, the sunlight or what have you, vehicle light, whatever you may have. It's going to prevent that light from disturbing your visuals. So the light suppressor is a nice feature to have, well thought out. I abut that first lock ring until it's tight, and then I bring that second lock ring to keep the first one from moving. So just that quick, we've got a Yoter-C with a rail mount ready for adaptation onto the firearm. You start with the throw lever forward all the way. If you have numbered rails, that will help because you want to catch the same rail slot each time you come on and off in terms of repeatability of your zero and your accuracy. This particular handguard that I have today does not have any numbers in the slots. So right there, I've caught it. It can move back and forth. You want to go forward all the way, and then you want to throw the throw lever back. That throw lever should begin getting stiff at about 45 to 60 degrees. So right there, it's at a 45-degree angle, and I'm going to need to use finger pressure to cam it all the way over. No tools, don't beat on it, don't force it, but it takes some pretty good finger pressure to get that to a fix, and that is going to give you a very solid mating of the thermal clip-on device to your rifle. I did not put the front of the day optic full press to the back of the clip-on. I was able to compress the eye cup a little bit on that light suppressor, but you don't need to jam them together. So right there, we should be ready to go shooting and getting zeroed. We also want to give a special thanks to Brian, and so this is Brian's land we're on today. Look up his channel, Carpe Sus, and you'll see some of this equipment as well as me hunting along with him. So none of this would be possible without Brian and Carpe Sus.